Hello there and welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're glad you're here. We're here every week. We meet interesting people, we deal with topical issues, and today we welcome in a mutual friend to harken back to the days of yesteryear.
And a hearty hi-o silver or something like that.
And talk about an athlete who deserves remembrance and is living a wonderful life even today.
Well, a fine fellow that I've known for 50 years, Dick Soergel. I have dubbed this show, or we have dubbed this show, Dick Soergel, OSU's greatest three-sport athlete ever.
Well, it's a small list.
It is. Well, he may be the only one on it, but he was the best. It's hard to imagine today in major college athletics, somebody playing three sports, and he played at a very high level in all three sports. He didn't just warm the bench and wear the uniform. He played three sports for 3 years is all you could do then.
This is going to be a good show for people in different generations to watch.
Yes.
That say, you know, back in our day or today's players couldn't. We'll ask Dick about some of those issues. It's all coming up today on The Verdict, so stay with us.
America has been here before, faced with daunting challenges, and we've always found the courage to lead. Foreign oil, greenhouse gases, we have the power to do something about them with American natural gas. Chesapeake is forging ahead, converting our fleets to clean-burning natural gas vehicles, encouraging others to do the same. Welcome to America. Chesapeake, America's champion of natural gas.
Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Bow my head to pray. I know you hear each word I say. I'm pouring out my heart to you like water. I have faith, I have faith, I have faith in you.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guests.
Today's really a fun show for me because we've got two old friends of mine for many, many years. On my right is really kind of the star of the show, Dick Soergel. Dick has been a friend for over 50 years. He's a graduate of Capitol Hill High School, where he starred on state championship teams in football, basketball, and baseball. Yes, they won the state championship in all of those sports while he was there. And he was an All-American basketball player in high school. He went on to Oklahoma State University, where once again he excelled in three sports, football, baseball, and basketball. He was a quarterback in football, a forward in basketball, and an All-American pitcher in baseball in the year that OSU, then Oklahoma A&M, I guess, won the national championship. He went on after college to sign with the then Boston Patriots, now New England Patriots in football. After that, he came back to Oklahoma, was engaged in the banking business for many years, and retired in 1998 from Liberty National Bank in Oklahoma City. We've stayed in touch over the years, and I left out something that's, I think, equally important. While he was at OSU, he was also a member of the All Big Eight academic team, so he could do it in the classroom as well as the field. Dick, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Nice to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you. On my left is a fellow who's been with us a couple of times before, also a high school, almost classmate of mine, if not. Lynn Draper is president and CEO of the Thorpe Association and the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. He has been involved with the formation of the Jim Thorpe Association and the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame from the very beginning. He's been the recipient of many civic and cultural awards. He is appearing, as I say, for his third appearance on The Verdict. Lynn, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Hey, glad to see both of you. Now, Dick, we're taking a lot of people back. Keep in mind, there's some younger viewers out there that might not think it's physically possible to play at the Division I level in 3 different sports. Yet you were able to accomplish it at not just a participatory level, but you excelled at all 3 sports. So looking back, what's the difference between doing it then and doing it today? Why would it be more possible then than it would be today for whatever reasons you can come up with?
Well, Mick, there are several reasons. I think, first of all, I don't think the coaches would let
Yeah, the
you.
coaches, would they be yanking on you,
They
wouldn't
would. You know, they want all your time.
Well, now you ran into that a little bit when you went to OSU, did you not?
Well, I started out, I didn't expect to play all 3 sports when I started college. I thought I'd be a basketball player, and I wanted to play for Mr. Iba. So I thought that's what I would be doing, but the football team was kind of struggling, and Mr. Iba wanted to help the football team, and the football coach wanted me to come out and play football too. So they agreed, both Mr. Iba and the football coach Cliff Spiegel, that I could play either sport, quit either sport at any time, and I would have a full scholarship in the sport that I elected to stay with. So that was kind of the conditions that I went to Oklahoma A&M on. Mm-hmm. And again, the coaches cooperated. Mr. Iba really loved football. Now, a lot of people think that he was a problem with the football program, that he didn't really help football, but he really wanted football to be good. And he enjoyed it. And I think that's the reason he let me play. And if I hadn't been able to play, you know, I wouldn't have stayed out. I would have dropped out and gone and played basketball.
Yeah, so you didn't have any interest in being a bench warmer in the 3 sports.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
But as long as you could play and get
exactly
an opportunity, you were willing to stick it out, because it had to be grueling to keep up with an academic schedule of some sort, and at the same time be practicing on a daily basis.
Well, it was, and I, you know, particularly when I was a freshman, because I would practice football in the afternoon, and then when the freshman basketball team would practice at night, I would go practice basketball at night. And I think I got down to about 165 pounds, and I was lean and mean at that time. But you know, it was grueling.
Mm-hmm. And then baseball would kick in.
Well, that's a funny thing how baseball kicked in. You know, I had played we were state champions in high school, and I'd pitched the final game, and I hadn't lost a game in high school. I think I was 14-0 my senior year, and we beat Norman in the finals, I think 2-1. Whale of a good ball game. And I had never really talked to Toby Green. He was the baseball coach at OSU. And one day after basketball was going on, it was about the end of the season, Coach Green walked up to me in the hall of Gallagher Hall, and he was a gruff little guy. Just walked up to me and looked at me and said, "Soergel, go check out some baseball shoes." So that was how I was recruited to play baseball.
You just followed instructions.
I just followed instructions.
If they hadn't had shoes that fit,
oh, I'd have been in trouble. I probably would have. But that's how it, you know, that's how it happened.
Mm. Well, we have some footage, and now we're first going to show a video clip that was presented when you were inducted in Oklahoma State's Hall of Honor. I'll warn people up front, not all of the pictures you see in the cover video of this piece are of Dick. Some of them are of Joel Horland, who was a major league pitcher in a little bit later era. But most of it is about Dick, and we'll explain more about it on the other side of this video tape about Dick Soergel.
Nobody in the last 3/4 of a century has ever lettered football, basketball, and baseball at Oklahoma State, let alone lead those teams to postseason success like Dick Soergel has. And of course, his most consummate gesture was being the pitcher of winning record at the 1959 NCAA championship. Dick is a kind and gentle person, but has an unbelievable capacity to develop an inner ferociousness that makes his competitive spirit unequaled. He's taken the best and the worst life has had to offer, and he's never made you forget that he was your friend.
Dick Soergel,
one of the most versatile athletes in OSU history, lettered 3 years in baseball, basketball, and football at Oklahoma State. In football, he led the Pokes in passing for 3 years, and in 1958 led OSU to a victory in the Bluegrass Bowl. He is 6th on the all-time Cowboy passing list with 2,226 yards and was drafted by the New England Patriots in 1960. In baseball, Soergel threw a one-hitter against Iowa State in 1959 en route to the Cowboys' national championship season. Soergel was named All-Big 8 and first-team All-American in 1960. Soergel was inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in 1998.
And we're back on the set. You're watching The Verdict with Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, Dick Soergel, and Lynn Draper, who's with the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Dick, we're now going to show some still pictures that show you in each of the 3 sports. Flashback for a while as you look at these pictures. What memories do you have of this particular era at Oklahoma State? Well, and you went to the College World Series.
We went to the College World Series. It was kind of funny. We weren't expected to be very good at all that year. I don't know how many players we'd lost from the previous season that signed professional contracts. And the predictions were we weren't going to be very good. But we kept plugging along, and we had real good pitching. We had Joe Horlin, Roy Peterson, and myself. We were 3 starters. And we didn't need many other people. I think our ERA combined was about 2.5 runs a ball game, and so we didn't give up many runs.
Let's go back and look now at a basketball picture. What position did you play on the basketball team?
Well, believe it or not, I was a center part of the time.
And you're how tall?
And I'm about 6'2", and I used to look those guys right in the navel, and I'd guard. I wasn't big enough to play inside, but we didn't have anybody very big, and we played a double post. In my last year, I played inside, and most of the guys I played against were 6'8" and 6'7", and it was hard to play against them.
I bet, and including Wilt Chamberlain, who was in that era at
He was
Kansas,
in that era, but the one I'll never forget, we beat Kansas one year up at Lawrence when I was a senior, and they had a big, tall player named Wayne Hightower, and Hightower went on and played in the NBA for quite a while, but he was about 6'8", and he was my man. And we got ahead of Kansas, and then Mr. Ibis put us in our delay game, and it would just wear you out. And I would bring the ball down the floor, and Hightower was trying to guard me, and oh, you talk about a guy that's tongue was hanging out. He was, he wanted, and he fouled out. He wanted out of that game because he was, guarding our delay game was tough.
Let's go to a football shot now, and you were the quarterback on the football team.
I was a quarterback on the football team. We had some other good players. I had to play offense and defense both.
I didn't know that.
Yes, when I started playing, the rule basically was if you came out in a quarter, you couldn't go back in the game. So
Okay.
you ended up playing 2 units called alternate units, and you played offense and defense both. And in my senior year, they changed the rule, and they allowed you to have 1 wild card. And so I became the wild card and played all the offense when I was a senior. But I had to play both offense and defense, so it was different.
Well, we're visiting with Dick Soergel and Lynn Draper. We're going to take a break and come back and hear more about the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. You're watching The Verdict with our special guest, Dick Soergel, the last 3-sport athlete at Oklahoma State University.
The thing that has made the most sense for me is realizing that I am still an educator, and that is what I do at the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Dr. Amanda Cobb-Greetham. I'm a historian, and I'm Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Cultural Center is amazing. It is a very, very special place devoted to the sharing and to the celebration of Chickasaw history and culture. State-of-the-art technology, exhibits that are not like anything I've ever seen. The Spirit Forest is incredible, and you feel as if you have actually just walked into a forest with huge trees all around you. It's timeless, and yet it's sort of also representative of our time depth, to really just sort of reach through time and touch the past. By the end of the exhibits, you really have a sense of Chickasaw cultural and political resurgence and the extent to which we are a healthy, dynamic, and vital tribe today. Chickasaws have always been an inclusive people. This is something for the whole community and for the state of Oklahoma.
Every time our country imports energy, we're saying we've lost confidence in our own.
But Oklahomans know, under the land of the free lies the energy to be brave.
Advanced technology has led to vast discoveries of oil and natural gas that have doubled America's supply estimates.
Using one well to do the work of 10 in half the time, we're proving that America's best answers will always come from inside our borders.
Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry, advancing our state, empowering our nation.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're visiting with Dick Soergel and Lynn Draper.
Yeah, Lynn, let me ask you something. You're the boss at the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, the Jim Thorpe Association. Tell us about the induction of Dick, why it came about, and how he's listed out there.
Well, Dick is, of course, one of the only 3 inductees throughout the history of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame who could be listed as a 3-sport star. Those guys are hard to come by. Jim Thorpe, of course, was recognized pretty much as the most versatile all-sport athlete in the history of sports. And then we also have inducted Zip Gales, who was a coach at Langston in all 3, in football, basketball, and baseball, and also was an All-American in football and baseball at Morehouse College in Atlanta. So the 3 of those people represent the only 3 people who come anywhere close to being excelling in all 3 major sports.
That's a pretty elite company.
Very elite. Even if you're looking at a national basis, the number of people who've been recognized as leaders, top people in all 3 sports, are very rare. They go clear back into the 1900s. For example, a guy named Rat Rogers from West Virginia.
His name was Rat?
Well, it was Ira Errett Rat Rogers. And he was captain of the football, basketball, and baseball teams there. The only person, there are a number of 2-sport athletes who've been associated with our Jim Thorpe Association. Guys like Deion Sanders excelled in both baseball and football, but no 3-sport stars. The only current person since the 50s that we've been able to find who excelled in more than 2 sports was Chuck Halley, also West Virginia. And Chuck lettered in football and wrestling, but then his other sports were gymnastics, track, and diving. So nobody in major sports except for Jim Thorpe and Dick Soergel.
That's astounding, and that's really why I wanted to do this show, because I've been wanting to do it for a while. I knew about that, and it's a double pleasure for me for having been a friend of Dick's for literally 50 years.
Lynn, tell us about the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, and you got an induction ceremony I know coming up this summer.
Coming up in August, we've this will be our 25th anniversary. The June the 8th of 1986 was the very first Sports Hall of Fame induction. The master of ceremonies at that time, and ever since, has been our mayor, Mr. Mick Cornett. That Hall of Fame was started by a young sportscaster back in 1986, who also became mayor of Oklahoma City, Mr. Mick Cornett.
Yeah, long time ago.
So it's been some great history, and there is no institution anywhere that better represents the greatness of Oklahoma than that Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame.
Dick, let me ask you a question I've been wanting to ask you for a long time and never had the opportunity, but of the 3 sports, what was the most demanding for you? What was the most difficult for you of football, baseball, and basketball at that high level where you played?
Well, I think basketball was. The transition from football to basketball is pretty significant. One year, I think when I was a junior, we beat Florida State in the Bluegrass Bowl in about the first week in December. And in the last week in December, I was back in Kentucky playing basketball against West Virginia and Jerry West and Ohio State, and the conditioning is so much different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really be in shape to play basketball.
Mentally, what is the hardest sport to play of those three? From a pitcher's standpoint.
I would say probably football, because when I played, I called all the plays. I was a quarterback, and I called the plays. They didn't send them in from the sideline, and you had to know how to recognize defense, and you had to be able to read the defense and try to pick the plays that would work against the particular team you were playing against. I'd say probably the schooling in football, you had to work hard to understand who you were going to play against.
And Mr. Iba, give us a minute on Mr. Iba and his impact on your life and others.
Oh, what a great man! Of course, playing basketball for him was tough. He was very, very demanding, but he was very fair, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But after I played, I worked at Oklahoma State University for 16 years. And the first 8, I was under Mr. Iba and worked with him, and we became close friends. We visited every day. Then after he retired, he'd come see me, and we'd talk, and we'd go fishing. And he was one of the super people that I've ever met.
Why was he so successful?
Well, first of all, he was consistent. He was honest. He did things the right way. I remember we had one player that Mr. Iba kicked off the team because he had done some things inappropriately, and it was a player that we would have been a national contender with one particular player, but Mr. Iba said, "No, you've done things the wrong way, son, and you're not going to play for us." We went on and finished in the Elite 8 that year, but it was a 6'6" guy that could play, and we needed some size.
Lynn, talk about the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame and the museum that's located on North Lincoln.
Well, the museum opened up last year, and it says it's state of the art. It's one that if you go around the country and look at various sports halls of fame, it measures right at the top among the very best. It's still a work in progress. We think it always will be. From the standpoint, we'll always be growing and improving.
And people can hold events there, dinners and things like that. It's how many people can sit down at a
Right, we've got the Bud Wilkinson Event Center that it's a big banquet room, can seat 600 people. And it's been very popular. A lot of people going through it. So,
yeah.
The museum is very successful. It's got, of course, Oklahoma has the greatest sports heritage of any state in the union. So. That Hall of Fame reflects that, and so it's kind of hard not to be proud of it.
Yeah, sure is.
Dick, in the little bit of time we have remaining, I know you've been retired from a very successful banking and business career, and now I called you the other day to ask you to come on the show, and your wife said you were out playing tennis, I think. So you must still remain pretty active.
Well, I played this morning. I play 4 times a week.
Really?
I play tennis.
You still have any eligibility left at Oklahoma State?
Well, the way I move, you wouldn't want me to have any.
I wish we weren't out of time, but we are. Dick Soergel, thanks so much for coming on The Verdict.
Yeah, Dick.
It's my pleasure.
Lynn, great to see you as always. Thanks for your great work with the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame and the Jim Thorpe Association. And Kent and I'll have a final word when we return.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. We visited with Dick Soergel and Lynn Draper. Dick Soergel, the great three-sport athlete in the early 1960s at Oklahoma State University. Thanks for putting this show together. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, he's a wonderful person, as well as being, of course, a fantastic athlete. But as I say, I've known him a long time, and he's been a good friend for a long time. And I love our association.
And I'll put in a pitch for the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. If you have an event, Lynn said that event center held up to 600 people. Give them a call, because it allows you not only to have a banquet facility, but you can also tour and see some of the great Oklahoma State memorabilia throughout the years. State not being the university, but the state of Oklahoma's great athletes and coaches, and their memorabilia is on display, and so you get a 2-for-1. I also want to give you some information on the website of the Jim Thorpe Association. It's jimthorpeassociation.org, abbreviated slightly on the end, JIMTHORPEASSOC.org. And if you have extra time on your hands, head to our website, theverdict.tv, because we'd love to hear your ideas about an upcoming show that we can produce just for you. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We will see you next week right here on another edition of The Verdict, when Kent and I get together and visit about new topics and perhaps with old friends once again. Yeah. We'll see you then.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.